Hi friends! I'm so excited for this week's video. I actually had something else planned for this week, but I bumped it out of the way when I got this box. Let me back up. So I keep getting these ads on social media for this company called Maxim. They make plastic canvas kits. You remember plastic canvas? People made tissue box covers and bookmarks and stuff. Anyway, I've been dying to try these kits for a while because they look so darn cute. And I'm finally doing it. This video is not sponsored, by the way. I paid for all of these myself. I went a little crazy on their website because these are actually pretty darn affordable if you ask me. So let's just see what I got. It's just busting out of this box. Okay, we have this Halloween pumpkin candy dish, which was $19.99 on their website. We have a snow globe tissue box cover. We have this Jelly Bean Express. We have a Spooky House tissue box cover. A Barnaby the Bat tissue box cover. A Floral Trellis tissue box cover. And then this Fishbowl tissue box cover. Seriously, they had so many cute kits on their website. I probably could have gotten 20 more that I liked if my wallet would allow it. Obviously, I'm not going to do all of these in this video. I'm probably only going to get to a couple of them, but if you want to see the other ones, let me know. Maybe once it actually gets to be Halloween and Christmas time, I'll try them. I think that this week, I'm going to try some of the more springier ones. I'm going to start with the Fishbowl. This is one of the ones that kept popping up in the ads that I was really excited for. I never saw tissue box covers that weren't just perfectly square. Inside this kit, we have a big bundle of yarn, a slightly smaller bundle of yarn, a needle, and some googly eyes. We also have 2 pieces of plastic canvas, 10.5 by 13.5 inches, and the instructions, which, after reading them, they are formatted a little confusing, but I think that they're pretty detailed. First, we need to cut the canvas. There is a graph thing in the instructions, but unfortunately it's just a bit smaller than the actual canvas, so we can't just hold it up to the graph to measure. We actually have to count. The instructions say to count the bars instead of the holes, which is all well and good, except that I kept losing count as I was going, which is a me problem and not an instruction problem. But it would have been helpful if they had put the number of bars on the side of the graph. So I double counted every measurement on the graph and on the actual canvas. It would be amazing if these were sent pre-cut, but I kind of understand why they don't. I'm guessing that these kits are put together by hand, and for how affordable these kits are, I'm really not bothered by it. My inability to count to 35 without getting lost notwithstanding. Plus, I have extra pieces now for another project that I haven't thought up yet. When you cut the canvas, you cut between the bars, so afterward you're left with these little plastic spikes, and we're just going to trim those off. If this looks strange, it's because I'm trying to get it to show up on camera. I don't normally cut like a weirdo. These little plastic nubbins are getting all over my table. Okay, now for the stitching. It says to work in 1 yard pieces of yarn, which it already is trimmed to. And since this top piece is all light blue and I won't have to count anything, I'm going to start with that. All right, we have our yarn and then we need the needle. It's sealed for our freshness. After about 10 minutes of struggle and almost tears of frustration, I got the needle threaded. I don't know why, but me and needle threaders are beefing lately. But we're ready to go now. And the instructions say we're going to do a half cross stitch. There's a nice fancy illustration. And we're going to go from left to right first, leaving a 1/2 inch tail. Then we're going to stitch over to secure it. I didn't think to turn the canvas over to show you, but I'm just making sure that the thread is inside my loops on the back. So I'm just basically going in the lower left and then out the upper right. Then when I get to the end, I'll just go back across from right to left. I did flip it around just because as a lefty, it was easier to keep working left to right. And then I'm just going to keep going back and forth, finishing all of the blue. So I just finished this one, and I went to compare it to this piece, which is supposed to be the same length. These are both supposed to be 35 bars long, you know, because it said to count the bars and not the holes. But these don't match. See how this one matches, but this one doesn't? I recounted it for the 55th time, and this is 35 bars, which is correct. This is 34, which is not. But I just finished the whole thing, and I am not going to redo it. So instead, I'm going to take a line off of this one. And since the pattern is made for 35 bars, and now I'm doing 34, that means the pattern is going to be one row smaller. So I think I'm just going to eliminate this third line down here. I don't want to eliminate the top or the bottom because then they wouldn't match the other sides that also have those same colors on the top and the bottom. But if I just get rid of this blue row here, the fish will touch the top, but I mean, that'll be okay. Now that we've got that figured out, let me trim up the other piece. And then I'm going to really focus to cut this weird little diagonal pattern in here. Okay, I think that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, let's move over to this side. Something that they don't really explain is how do you do these pieces that are in the middle of everything? Like, see the white bubbles that are here and there? I want to keep the back neat, so do I just like tie them off each time? I mean, there's not really room to like secure it with only 4 squares. Maybe if I just leave the ends sticking out, then I can like cover them or secure them or whatever with the blue yarn, and I'll do the blue last. Wait a second. Did I cut the wrong side off? Ooh, I'm gonna be so mad. No, I'm okay. Okay, so he's gotta go this way, right? This can't be right. The 41 is across, the 35 is down. I'm so confused. I gotta recount all of this. Alright, so I recounted everything, and I did cut the wrong edge. I actually just made the fishy sides shorter height-wise instead of width-wise. I actually want to cut the edges 1 bar shorter, which means redoing this whole pattern thing here. I am so scared of messing this up even more. Let's really focus. Okay, I think I have that part right now. I'm going to be so mad if I get done with this and it's messed up even more than I think it is. But cutting the fishy side shorter means I also need to cut the non-fishy side shorter too, so that they match. Ugh, I'm going to cry. I shortened the whole box for no good reason. Never mess up counting, because then you don't have to make adjustments, and at this point, I'm not even sure what I'm doing. And I can't even fault the kid for it. This is 100% my fault because I can't count accurately. Let's move back to the non-fishy sides now that I think we've got all of the adjustments done. So I'm going to eliminate that third all blue line again, and I'm going to do the 2 white rows first, and then I'll do the bubbles. This is the hard part because I have to count again, and we've all seen how great I am at that. Did I mention that I'm a teacher? Not a math teacher, obviously. I'm going to spare you the rest of my counting and just speed through me adding in the white bubbles and the seaweeds. I'm still not entirely sure that I got them in the 100% correct spots, but I guess as long as they line up enough to make the picture, then we're fine. Also, not crucial, but I need you to know that there has been a cat snoring right behind my butt the entire time I've been doing this. Alright, after all of the seaweed and bubbles are done, I'm going to go through and basically fill in every blank spot with blue, except for this bottom area where I'm going to add the tan. Alright, so I finished the blue off camera, and I really just did go in wherever there was open spots and fill it in. It actually wasn't all that hard to go around everything else, and it was pretty quick. Now I just need to fill in this tan section at the bottom. And this yarn is called tan, and maybe it's just because I've been staring at it for a really long time, but it really looks gray to me. Okay, now that that's done, we need a second one. Okay, now we can move on to the fish side. And this, we're going to really have to count well to figure out where we need to be. And counting is the part that I seem to struggle with the most. Plus, I did cut one row and one column off, so we have to account for that. Oh boy. Okay, I think I'm going to start with green because it's close to the edge here, and then use that to kind of guide the rest of it. Now, I decided that I was going to eliminate this full blue row here near the top, and one row from the side since they're all blue and it won't matter that much. But this was still an ordeal trying to count and figure out where to start. It's like a map with no landmarks. Once I was able to get something stitched, in this case the seaweed, it made everything just a little bit easier to judge from there. Once the seaweed was done, I moved on to the orange of the fish and promptly broke my brain. Well, not promptly, I mean actually kind of slowly, stitch by stitch. This whole thing kind of reminds me of when I do cross stitch, and because I like to have the back really neat, I don't always just go straight left to right. I kind of figure out a path so that I can go from square to square as long as possible without having to jump across spaces or end the stitch and start a new one. So I'm trying to follow the little guide and count all of the stitches and put them in the right places, but then I kept getting confused which stitch I was counting from, and I was still trying to make that super efficient path. Don't worry, my therapist knows about all my particular quirks. Anyway, I kept losing track of what I was doing. How do people do this without drawing on the canvas? Light bulb. I will draw on the grid. Well, actually, I will draw on tracing paper that I'm taping over the grid. I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of this, but I was still pretty proud of my problem-solving skills. And it actually worked great. I used different colored pencils, because I just wanted to, and I marked off each stitch as I did them. Then I could keep better track of where I was and what I had done. And what I had done was wrong. I made him too big. Dang it, I can't undo it. Do I undo it? No. It's just his lower half. I think I have to undo it. Wait a second. Think that this is a smaller piece. Okay, don't freak out. I think that I can fix this. Let's just take out whatever this piece is. All right, let's try this again, and we're just gonna focus so hard. So I'm just continuing on the rows and crossing them off, which is helping so much. There's so many different colors on this darn fish. The plastic canvas is curling a little bit, which the instructions say it might do if you're pulling too tight, but I actually just think that it might be because of the way I'm holding it. I'm not really pulling it like really tight. And I broke my second needle threader. I was wondering how long it would take until I broke that. I don't understand why I can't get this yarn to go through. Sometimes it goes through really easily, and sometimes I can't get it through to save my freaking life. And this is their needle. This isn't even mine. Okay, I found another needle threader off camera because I was ready to lose my mind, and I finished this last little section. So here's our fish. Now, what I thought that I could do is hold the second canvas over the first and use that to find the right starting spot. Then I don't need to count. I'm definitely going to use my tracing paper method for the fish because that's confusing, but at least this will help me get started. Okay, back to the fishy. Okay, I had to work on some of this off camera or I was never going to finish, so here we are. I did like 90% of the stitching on this. I only have the black details left. And I also did the second fish. I'm not sure if you can tell by looking at it, but these fish are not identical. I don't know what I did. Somehow I messed it up. I was working on it during nap time at school when all of my kids were sleeping, and I don't know, somehow that fish is a little taller. You can see especially right here, there's definitely more of this gold color, and I had to kind of cut off this fin that touches the top. But see down here how the fins are still the same distance? Yeah, I don't know what I did to this guy, but I don't think you can really tell that they're different, and they both look like fish, so I don't really think it matters too much. Also, I broke my last 2 needle threaders, so that's 4 now, and had to go to the store to get more. Well, 1 more, I should say, but it's this crazy aggressive one. And after using that to finish these, I've gotten so much better at threading the needles and not struggling. I also wanted to see if I could find any needles with a bigger hole at the end, and the answer is no. The only needles with bigger holes at the top than this were yarn mending needles, and they were like this long, so I didn't want to do that. So the needle that it came with is actually the best size that I could find. I did find more in the exact same size, and they were tapestry needles size 18, if that tells you anything. But I did get a big pack of them so that I could have like 6 or 7 needles threaded at a time and work even quicker. Oh, I know you want to see the back. I did tell you the back was none of your business, but there you go. Not too bad. So the next thing that I need to do is the black thread. First, I need to stitch 1 teeny tiny little stitch right here. I think this is supposed to be the eyeball, but then the googly eye is going to go on top of that. Whatever, we'll deal with that later. Oh, I love that needle threader. Okay, I'm going to secure this under the white, do my 1 tiny little stitch, and then secure it again. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. I messed that up. Let me just get some glue really quick. You know when you get close to the end of a project and you just get a little impatient, so then you try to work just the tiniest bit faster and things start going wrong? It's like when you have to pee, kind of, but the closer you get to the bathroom, the worse it gets, until you're about to pee your pants. I think I'm at that stage. Okay, now we need to divide a length of black yarn into its individual ply, which I guess there's 4 plies. I know somebody told me there's like a cool way to pull and undo these easier, but I don't know what that is, so I'm not doing it. Don't judge me. So now we need to backstitch following my little guides here. I think we're just sort of defining his gill thing and where his fins start, maybe. But I'm having so many ideas about designing my own plastic canvas project. I probably need to do the other kits that I bought to get a better idea of how they do the 3D-ness of it. Because I haven't even put this project together yet, and I honestly have no idea how that's going to work. But still. So now it's finally time to put these together. The instructions do have all of the information that you need. You just need to read it really slowly and carefully. It's kind of like reading a book in Old English. I recognize all of the words, I just gotta really use all of my context clues. Okay, they're not that bad, but it did take me a few times through to catch certain things. But I think I figured it all out. Now, it would make more sense to me to attach the top to all of the sides and then go down the corners of the sides to close them. But what do I know? I've never made these before. So we're actually going to start by attaching the sides to the front and the back. The instructions say that we're going to do overcast stitches to attach everything, and we want to start those overcast stitches in the middle of rows where possible instead of corners. This will make the corners stronger. So I want to start in the middle of the side, but also how do I know exactly where to attach it? One of these pieces is going to curve somehow, so I can't even line the top and the bottom up perfectly. Also, when you overcast, you're pulling the yarn at a fun little diagonal, so it pulls the canvas a little. And I need more detail. I'm not even going to go through explaining how I did this because it ended up being off by 1 freaking square, So I ripped the whole thing out and started again at one end. I don't think that middle of the row instruction was meant for the sides, because the yarn still ends on the corners, so I don't really know how that makes them stronger. Unclear instructions are the bane of my existence. So we're going to try this again, but I'm going to start at the top. Except as I'm trying to secure the thread in a few stitches that are already done, I accidentally pulled the thread too far and all the way through. It's not that important and it's easily redone, but I must have done this 3 million times in the course of this project. And I can still feel the frustration editing this days later. Anyway, I'm just going to come out of the fish piece, over the corners, and back into the seaweed piece on the same row. Then come back out of the fish piece on the next row. If the instructions can't be clear, I will try to be. Now, the curvy part, here's what I figured out. When you're starting a curve, you have one piece that's going to remain flat and another piece that's going to curve around. So we're going to go through that first square on the flat piece twice, but in 2 different rows, so that when you go through the second time, it curves it around. Then we're just going to go down the rest of it in a straight line. Once the canvas is curved around that first square, the rest of the rows line up perfectly. And it's really obvious where to do the stitches. I did the same at the bottom of the curve to straighten it back out, and then I finished it off and secured the yarn. Did you get it? Here, I'll show you again because I had to do it 4 times. I may actually be doing this completely wrong, but if it's working, I don't really care that much. So here's where we're at. Now I need to finish overcasting the sides with tan at the bottom and white at the top. Also, it was 3:30 p.m. on Saturday right at this moment, and I usually post on Sundays. So yeah, this video is not getting done on time. This guy better be worth it. Now, if I were writing these instructions, I would immediately overcast the tan at the bottom because I like to be efficient. But that's not what it says to do. So instead, we're going to go up and do the white. I just want to be done with this part. Can I be done with this part? This part sucks. But I finally got that done, and as much as I like to complain about everything, I know, I see your comments, that was the worst part of this whole thing. But now with the corners done, we can move on to the top. And we're going to overcast all around the inside of this cutout, which was incredibly awkward. I mean, maybe it's because I'm left-handed, or maybe it's because I was trying to get the stitches to match the slant of the ones that were already there, but I really felt like Kendall Jenner trying to cut a cucumber. Also, could I not have just done these stitches when I was doing the rest of it? Couldn't I have just extended the rows 1 more square on the sides and gone down 1 more row on the top and bottom? Wouldn't that give the same effect? Especially since as I turn the corners, I have to recalculate in my brain how to get the stitches to go in the right direction. Also, my thumb was killing me from gripping so hard and still slipping off while I was trying to pull the needle through the stitches to secure the yarn, so I grabbed a pair of jewelry pliers to give me more grip. I really wish I would have done that days ago. What in the world? Why does this row look weird? Whatever. Next, we're going to use white to overcast this whole top piece to the sides. Here is where I think that instruction about starting in the middle of a row is meant to refer to. So we're going to super secure this because now I have my pliers. Then I'm going to pull it out of a square on the side, make sure the top is facing the right way, and then let's go. Out, up, around, and back in. At the corners, I actually went through the top square 3 times, once on each side, and then once kind of in the middle and not through a side, just to kind of hide the plastic. Stitching this top on was so satisfying. It's like I'm really constructing something here, you know? It's also helping the whole thing to be less bendy and wobbly. When that was done, the almost last step is to overcast around the bottom with tan yarn. The last step is to glue on the googly eyes. Now, it would make sense to me that the googly eyes would go right here, but it actually says to put them here. Does that look better? I feel like that looks weird. If I put it here and then this little underneath eye is like drooping down like that, that's where I'm going to put it. I know you're here. I just used you. When I clean all this up, how many needles am I going to find? Probably a lot. Okay, there. That looks cute. All right, I'm going to turn you over and do it on the other side. All right, so this guy is finally done. First, generally, I actually love this craft. Again, I complain a lot. That's just the grumpy lady that I am. But I actually really enjoyed this. Even though it took me like an entire week to do, I mean, I really thought it was going to take me like a night and I was going to get 3 of these done in a week. But it's not hard to do once you understand what you're doing. It was actually pretty relaxing if you're like sitting there doing something else, watching TV or whatever. I just seriously misjudged how long it was going to take. And there are so many cute kits and patterns, and I have a ton of ideas that I could do. So plastic canvas, yes. Now this project specifically, besides the needle threader and scissors, it actually came with everything that you needed and more. I mean, I have tons of yarn left over and a good amount of plastic canvas. The instructions were pretty good, but not outstanding. I mean, I was a little confused on some parts, but ultimately I figured it out. Don't let my struggles deter you from trying this, especially now that you know what to look out for. And the actual tissue box cover came out so cute. Even with the mistakes that I made, it's not super obvious. It is a little short on the tissue box, but oh well, I love it. I am definitely going to do the rest of these projects. So, what do you think? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.